Trucker Dump, episode 186. Well, we're back to our normal news-focused show this week. Sorry. We've got lots of news to catch up on, including how California is shutting down a crapload of trucks is going. Also, is the new Tesla Semi already having problems? And of course, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is staying super busy with both denying and accepting requests. I'll catch you up on all that. What else? Well, trucking jobs are slowing down. There's a new tax guide for owner-operators I'll point you to. Young truckers and truck parking are both back in the limelight. And I'll tell you about the ongoing battle between UPS and the Teamsters and why that's important. And the Biden administration makes a statement that won't make most truckers very happy. All that news and more, including one of a kind coming back to share a great cafe in the Trucker Grub segment. In the listener feedback segment, we'll hear from some new listeners and probably one of the oldest listeners I have, not age, but length of time listening to the show, driver Chris Mack, questions my website building skills. And he's got a point. I'll explain. Also, a listener needs help finding a particular kind of trucking app, so please stick around to help with that. What say we get this party started?
Welcome to Trucker Dump, where you'll get one driver's insights and sometimes humorous views of truck driving and the trucking industry, and pretty much anything else he feels like dumping on you. This podcast is brought to you by AboutTruckDriving.com, resources to help you understand the world of truck driving through the use of stories and a pathetic attempt at humor.
Hey, Trucker Dumpers! Coming to you today from Raleigh, North Carolina. Boy, I don't get out here very far. Honestly, this is the farthest place that my company goes from my house. And here I am. It's Friday, so I'll get up out of bed tonight and head home. It'll be 2 full shifts to get home, but I'll make it by the weekend. If not, they got to pay me. So, well, maybe I don't want to get home. Nah, I want to get home. Anyway, hey, this is Todd McCann here. I am the host of this here podcast. I've been driving a truck for 25 years. I've never been an owner-operator, so if you're interested in that, you're in the wrong place. Well, unless you just want to hear about trucking stuff in general and you're not looking for specific owner-operator stuff. And of course, I'd like to think I'm not just some trucking schmuck sitting behind a microphone blabbing. I've actually done a few things with my life, not much, but one of them is write a couple of trucking ebooks. You can find both of those at abouttruckdriving.com or anywhere that you buy your audiobooks. Well, not your audiobooks, your ebooks. One of them has an audiobook component, 9 1/4 hours. That's the Trucking Life book. That is more for drivers who are, or not drivers, but people who are looking to get into the industry, but it also has lots of fun stories and stuff of things that happened to me and the Evil Overlord, kind of our backstory and how we got into trucking, all that kind of good stuff. I have heard from lots of experienced truckers who do say that they enjoy that audiobook and, thought it was worth the money. It wasted 9 1/4 hours of their driving time. So there is that. And the other book is designed for new truckers who are looking to get their first job. It is called How to Find a Great Truck Driving Job. And that one includes a list of questions that you need to be asking any potential employer. So even if you are a trucker who has experience and knows what you should be asking, but you just want a list of it, well, there is a way to just download just that questionnaire. I'll try to put a link in the show notes in it, but as we'll hear in the listener feedback segment, I have trouble with this. I'll explain later on. But for now, I was in the Trucker Dump Slack group the other day. You can join that by sending me an email at truckerdump@gmail.com. That is basically just a glorified chat group. Lots of friendly truckers in there, lots of experience in there, and you won't get all the crap and hate as you will on Twitter or Facebook or any of those places like that online. Great group of people, private group. So you just have to join truckerdump@gmail.com. Anyway, I was mentioning how I went into a room the other day and I was going to record and I looked down at the floor and there was a hardwood floor and I was talking about how bad the acoustics were and everybody pointed out to me again that nobody cares. Nobody cares about my audio quality except for myself, so I thought, well, this is great, because, it is kind of a pain in the butt sometimes to try to keep everything quiet here all the time. And, sometimes you just want to make noise and, just do what you need to do and, just do stuff like this. And, sometimes you just need to rub your whiskers on the microphone and, you need to tap your fingers sometimes and, your chair squeaks sometimes, so I'm glad that doesn't annoy any of you because, I think I'll just do the rest of the show like this. What do you think? Yeah? Yeah? Not so great, is it? Okay. Appreciate me, damn it. Oh, I just lost my clean tag. All right. Let's say we get on with the show. Enough of that nonsense, right? Hey, I did have one really cool thing happen today. We talk a lot about electric trucks on the show, right? Well, here I am cruising along through North Carolina, and this truck comes up beside me, and no big deal. He's just kind of out there beside me, and he starts gaining on me up a hill pretty quick. And I was like, oh, look at that guy go. And when he passes me, guess what it was? Nope, not a Tesla, but it was a Volvo electric truck, their VNR series. And from what I'm hearing, the Volvo electric truck, that VNR in particular, is one of the most popular out there on the road. There's more of those already on the road than about anything else as far as electric trucks go. It was scooting up the hill pretty good. Now, I don't know how heavy it was compared to me, but I do have a slow truck, to be fair, but it was, seemed to be accelerating up that hill pretty darn good. The only difference I really noticed was basically like squared off fuel tanks, only they were batteries on both sides. That's the only difference that I saw. I wish I had realized what it was before it got right up on me, because I would like to have rolled down the window, maybe got a little video of it, and just see how loud they are, because really all you're hearing is maybe some electrical engine whine. But anyway, that was just kind of neat. My first electric truck sighting out in the wild. But electric trucks are getting out there more and more, as we will find out shortly here, just as soon as we start this news. But before we do that, I have to take a moment and be serious. Now, this is not one of those times that I say I'm being serious and then I'm actually joking. I know it's hard to tell with me sometimes, but this is serious, okay? We lost a good friend to the podcast and a good friend of mine, Shannon Holden. You might remember him from episode 138, where we talked to him about being a rental delivery driver. Great guy. He was always willing to help the show. And I believe he was about 56, maybe 57 years old. And he had a cardiac arrest in his sleep on December 31st. That was a shocker to everyone. Nobody really expected. He was always out and about and going. He had a great love for pit bulls. He talks about that a little bit on the episode 138. He was always willing to help me no matter what I needed. He was, when I had the Trucker Dump, or not the Trucker Dump Slack group, but the other one for the Apple stuff, the iTruckers, he was an administrator of that because I was having trouble handling it. And I just asked him if he would help with some of the things, and he was happy to do so. I remember a couple times I was having trouble with Skype, and I don't know a lot of people with Skype, so I just reached out and asked him if he would help, and he was always willing to help if he could. One time he did it from Skype on his phone, while he was out at the job, and another time he did it from his house. So, like I say, just a great guy. He was always ready to laugh. If you've ever been in the Trucker Dump Slack group, he was a big part of that for a long time before he got in a new relationship recently, and, well, that kind of took priority, but he was very happy up until the end, as far as I know. I haven't talked to him in quite a while, and that is kind of one of the weird things. You feel like you can be so close to somebody online and you've never met them in real life. Now, I'm pretty sure driver Chris Mack got to meet him in real life a couple of times. He lives down in the Phoenix area, and I don't get out there anymore, but I used to. And Shannon and I had a couple of near misses. We just almost got to meet up a couple of times, but it just never happened. But you know what? Regardless, I don't feel like I know him any less than I do. And I feel, I mourn for his family. I'm a little messed up about this. He's not much older than I am, and this could have been me, or could have been the evil overlord, or it could have been any other person I love in life. So, man, if you've got somebody you love in your life, and pretty much everyone does, make sure they know it, because you just never know from day to day when they're going to be here. So enough of the sadness. This was not how Shannon would want this show to go. I'm sure he would appreciate the mention, but he would say, dude, get on with it. Let's go. Come on, hurry it up. Start up that little sound effect and let's get the news going. I ain't got all day. That sounds exactly like what Shannon would say. Well, rest in peace, Shannon. Let's get the news started. All right, let's say we start out with a little public service announcement from thetrucker.com. OOIDA warning of new texting scam targeting truck drivers. Now, OOIDA is, of course, the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association, and they are saying that there has been a texting scam going around, and it involves the US DOT, the Department of Transportation. And what is happening is people are just randomly getting these texts saying that there's something wrong with their license or their registration or something, and they need to call immediately. And apparently this is working. I don't know what they do to, they just try to steal your personal information. That's usually the way this works. They call that a phishing scam. But anyway, the DOT says they will send a letter or maybe a phone call, but they will never text you. So here's what I do in these situations. If somebody says, calls me up and say they're from the DOT or something like that, I am always going to say, okay, well, I'm going to call you right back. What is your name? And then I will get the name, and then I will look up the phone number online myself. I'm not going to let them give me a phone number and call them, because it's just going to go right to them and they're going to pick up, right? No, look it up online. You call them yourself, and then you ask for that person. And if they are truly who they say they are, then you're in the clear, right? Don't be a sucker. That's the moral of this story. So check out thetrucker.com for that one. Hey, we just talked about electric trucks when that Volvo unit passed me. Pretty cool. This one I found on cdllife.com. Tesla preparing to build Tesla semi-specific truck stop. Nope, I read that wrong. I read the whole article wrong. I was thinking truck stop is truck shop in Nevada. Nevada is the town in Missouri. That's what we call it. It's going to be in Reno, Nevada, and it's going to be 45,000 square foot collision center. Wow, just Teslas, and that's it. They'll be stocked with parts, tools, Tesla semi-truck technicians. This is according to Torque News. So that just goes to show that Tesla is, very interested in expanding their network, getting more trucks out in the system. I mean, I think they've only got like 30 some right now out on the road. Well, except for their test units, but the ones that were delivered to Pepsi recently out in California. But, apparently they're planning on going big, so they're going to need a shop. So I guess if you buy one of these trucks and you live in New York State, you're just going to have to drive a really long way to go out and get this thing serviced. I'm not really sure how that works. I don't know if you know this, but the Tesla cars actually have service at your house. That's the way they do it. They don't have in general, I don't think they have like a garage you can go to. You can't take it to your dealer. They don't have a garage there. You actually call, tell them you have something wrong, and they send out a technician to your house, and they will fix everything right there on site. Crazy, but that's the way they do it. So that's cool that Tesla is forwarding their plans. They're building a shop and all that, but apparently all is not that great in Tesla land right now. And maybe they're going to need this shop. And that's because, well, if you pay attention to Facebook, or it was probably on Twitter. Yeah, it was on Twitter. As a matter of fact, I think that's the original tweet came through was on Twitter, is somebody caught the first Tesla actually broke down out in the wild. So I looked it up. I found an article on teslarati.com. Tesla semi breakdown has people losing their minds. Yeah, that's true. It is true. So this was a feed from out in Nevada, near Silver Springs, Nevada, and it shows it's like DOT camera footage of a roundabout, and it shows a Tesla semi, and it doesn't look like it's got a flatbed or anything. doesn't look like it's got a trailer on it here in the photos. But anyway, it breaks down. They turn on the flashers, so that indicates that it wasn't necessarily a battery issue. But it was rolling a little bit. So again, if the batteries were, or if the lights were working, that it probably means the batteries were okay. So it probably didn't die from running out of battery, which probably most people would like for it to happen just so they can laugh at that. But if that was actually to happen, they'd probably just bring out one of those pickup trucks pulling a big diesel generator and charge it for a little while. And that's funny in itself. But, anyway, first time the Tesla has been caught on camera broke down. So there you have it. Go check out the video right here on teslarati.com. I'll put a link in the show notes since that's not a normal word to use. I don't know what that's. Teslarati. Is that like the Illuminati? Only it's Teslarati, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, check that one out. Link in the show notes. And since I haven't said the show notes in quite a while, or I mentioned them, but I didn't say what they are, is show notes are all the links to all of these articles. Sometimes there'll be pictures and stuff like that, and you can find those in your podcast app. If you have a good podcast app, just scroll around. You'll find them eventually. And if you don't want to bother to do that, you can go to abouttruckdriving.com, type in TD186. That will be all of the links for this show right here. And if you have something in the past that you can't remember, or maybe you just remember a few keywords, you can type that into the search bar over at abouttruckdriving.com. And, maybe you can figure out, some link from past that you wanted to read. Although I doubt that's going to happen because nobody really ever clicks on these links, do they? That's what I hear from you when you write in and I ask you. So anyway, I'll move on. Show notes are freaking cool, though. Okay, owner-operators, heads up. Tax time is right around the corner. You know this, you hate it, but it's coming and you can't do anything about it. Well, there's a quick and easy guide to help you on your way if you are new to this. This guide comes from overdriveonline.com and ATBS, which stands for the American Truck Business Services. They do taxes and bookkeeping and compliance and, I think they do compliance. Anyway, all that kind of stuff. So you can head on over here. I'll put a link in the show notes, but you can also go to atbs.com and check this out. It's called Complete Guide to Owner-Operator Taxes. It talks about all kinds of stuff I don't understand, like estimated tax payments, self-employment tax, different ways of estimating tax, like a safe harbor or an actual estimate. Talks about tax deductions. There's even a link you can click on here in the article to go, and they give you a list of commonly used deductions for owner-operators. So that might be good to look at that and make sure you're not overlooking something. It talks about different kind of tax credits you might be available for, how to reduce your risk of an audit, explains per diem, depreciation, all that kind of good stuff. Excise, all the different kinds of taxes, employee tax, excise tax, all this franchise tax, property tax, gross receipts tax, all this kind of stuff. Plus it's got some common tax questions at the bottom of it. So I don't need to know most of this stuff because, as a company driver, I don't really get to claim deductions in anything anymore, which is fine by me. It seems to work out better for me just to take the standard deduction. But hey, if you are an owner operator, go check this out. It cannot hurt. Even if you just hand over all of your shoebox full of receipts to your accountant, it might still help to understand what's going on. So again, this one comes from overdriveonline.com and ATBS. So go check that one out. Hey, how about a little update on California? Because, not only are they getting flooded right now and just all kinds of weather events going on over there, man, it's a mess. They just keep getting hit time after time after time with more and more water and snow. And wow, what a mess. Glad I'm not living in California for, lots of reasons now. But anyway, we recently talked about the AB5 rule that was going into effect over that, is in effect now. And that is going to probably eliminate a bunch of lease operators who want to remain, independent contractors, but they're under these new guidelines. They're likely going to be forced into becoming employees or getting their own authority and becoming a full-time owner operator and having to bust that lease situation. Well, there's another situation that we talked about recently where they are, as of January 1st of 2023, the state of California is not allowing any truck to operate in the state that has an engine that is older than 2010. So they are estimating right now, the California Air Resources Board, or CARB as they're known, they estimate about 230,000 trucks are going to be illegal in the state starting January 1st, which of course has already happened. Now, it is important to note that this is not just trucks in California. This is any truck going to drive into California. If your engine is older than 2010, now that's the engine, not the body. You could have a glider kit and stuff like that. Glider just means basically you have a newer body, but you put an older motor in it to meet whatever guidelines. Maybe something like this, or maybe to get underneath the ELD situation, where you don't have to have ELDs, although they're trying to change that too. But anyway, you do not want to screw this up and go into California. I don't know what they think they're going to do for food and lumber and all kinds of supplies that they need for building, especially with all of this mess going on with all the rain and the destruction happening right now. They're going to need supplies. And, well, good luck getting them, California. You brought this crap on yourself, Anyway, they're saying non-compliant trucks can get a penalty of $1,000. It could go up to $1,800 if the owner fails to correct it. And they also say those penalties can rise to over $42,000 depending on 8 factors. I'm not going to go into detail on those factors. You can go over here to overdriveonline.com and check out those if you're interested in it. Personally, I just stay out of the state and make them suffer for making up these rules. But hey, that's just me. So anyway, there's just an update on that. In short, California's screwed, and they brought it on themselves. Hey, here's a quick little story that I hope will bring a smile to your face just like it did mine. Delaware DMV launches online self-certification for CDL holders. Found this one on overdriveonline.com. So you know how when you get your DOT physical and you often have to go down to the DMV, stand in line, and then it takes them like 5 seconds to add it to your license and you pay like $2 or $3 and you're done, but you wasted half your day? Well, Delaware has launched this new online self-certification thing where you can actually just go to a website and you can do it yourself. I hope to God that every other state follows suit on this and they do it really, really, really fast. But if you're in Delaware, you're in luck, although it is one of the smallest states in the country. So, well, anyway, if you're there, you're lucky. Use this the next time you go get your DOT physical, okay? Link in the show notes here. Told you that one would be short. Okay, here's the portion of the show where we're going to talk about all the things that the FMCSA is up to. That's the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. The first one was pointed out to me by Stephen Gorman, who guest hosted the show recently, a couple times. And this one he found on freightwaves.com. FMCSA denies carriers' request to report truck driver hair tests. Yep, this is involving the drug testing with hair follicles. Now, just as a quick update, many of the big carriers have been using these hair tests on their own. It's not required by law to use them. Just some of them decide to use them. And they're saying that it flags more people who are on drugs than the urinalysis does. And it probably does because, as we know, if you don't know, the hair follicle test goes back weeks, sometimes months. So, if you smoked some reefer 6 months ago, you could be nailed. And it might label you as a continuous user, but maybe you haven't smoked in 6 months. Maybe you had given all that up and you went to truck driving school and you want to change your life around, but you now can't get a job because of that. So I am not for hair follicle testing. Neither are most owner operators. The OIDA is against it. OIDA being the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association, for all those reasons I touted, that it's just not fair to, make someone a druggie just because they smoked pot once, 3 or 4 weeks ago. But JB Hunt, on the other hand, is one of these members of the Trucking Alliance, which is a bunch of large trucking companies who have lots of money and like to spend it on hair follicle testing, apparently. But they do give some interesting numbers here. They said they've been using this hair testing for 16 years. Who knew? They say during that time they have had almost 192,000 truck driver job applicants doing both urinalysis and the hair test. And they said the hair test flagged over 7,100 of those applicants for illegal drug use. That's 3.7% of those people. And so they say in here they would have likely hired 6,443 of those drivers because 90% of them passed the DOT urinalysis. And they do make a good point here that while JB Hunt disqualified those drivers and did not hire them, those drivers likely went right back out into the system, found another place to apply, put in an application, did a urinalysis, and started working. Now again, maybe they were a druggie, maybe they weren't. We don't know. But there's just too much to deal with this hair test follicle thing right now. Anyway, I didn't mean to go into that deep of a description of it because we've talked about it many, many times before. But right now, the FMCSA is denying their request. They say they don't have the authority by law to do something like this. They're saying this type of stuff falls under the jurisdiction of the HHS, which stands for Health and Human Services. So basically, the new head of the FMCSA, Robin Hutchinson, just said, hey, it's out of our hands. Take it up with the HHS. So for now, there will be no hair follicle testing. We will see in the future. These big trucking companies have a lot of money, and they're just going to keep pushing for this. To be continued, I guess. You can find that one on freightwaves.com, and thanks to Steven for pointing it out. Appreciate it. By the way, if you have something that you've seen and you want it to be talked about on the show, please send me the link to truckerdump@gmail.com. I'll give you a shout out just like I did Steven. Doesn't that just make your day? You know, honestly, I have to say, I listen to a lot of podcasts and I've written into a lot of podcasts. And when I hear my name and they read an email on the show, I always love it. I always think it's great. I get a little blush. I'm like, cool, they're talking about me on the show. Awesome. I don't know. Maybe it's just me and I don't know, podcast cheesy nerd. I don't know. But I get a kick out of that kind of stuff. I hope you do too. All right, what else is the FMCSA denying? Well, on landline.media, let's check out this one. FMCSA denies driver training exemptions. Yeah, apparently recently 2 organizations, SBL Driving Academy and Western Area Career and Technology Center, asked for their instructors, their driving instructors, to be exempt from having to have at least 2 years of experience driving a commercial motor vehicle. Now, this is part of the new thing that went into effect like February 7th of 2022, I believe it was, something like that. And then they put some new guidelines in. There's more, there's actually some guidelines for a change of pace, which there wasn't a lot in the past. But this was one of them, that if you're going to have an instructor at a school, you are going to have them. They have to have at least 2 years of experience. Well, this was struck down, thank God. And, it should have been. I'm glad the FMCSA stuck to their guns on this one because 6 months of driving a truck is not enough to train a driver. Another driver, I should say. 1 year, probably still not enough. 2 years, honestly, pushing it, but okay, I can at least go with that. You have to draw a line somewhere. The whole purpose of this was just to get away from that model that a lot of trucking companies use, where they would get a new driver, they'd get them trained, they'd be 3 to 6 months into their career, and they would have them training another driver, which, the blind leading the blind. Let's just say that. So I'm glad they stuck to their guns on this one. Way to go, FMCSA. And way to go, OIDA, for pushing them on this one. All right, I have to admit, I like this next story at freightwaves.com. The FMCSA exempts deaf drivers despite CVTA objections. Now, CVTA isn't something we hear every day, but that stands for Commercial Vehicle Training Association. So apparently what's happened here is they've got some individuals, deaf and hard of hearing individuals, who have received exemptions for driving a truck. And they've been doing this since 2013. And, the Commercial Vehicle Training Association is not happy about this. And I really don't know why, but the FMCSA points out that they are going to keep allowing these exemptions if they can prove that they can drive, because ever since these individuals have had this exemption, there've not been any records or any statistics of them having being more likely to have an accident or anything like that. Now that makes sense to me. I mean, I have driven with my earbuds in that are noise canceling. I can turn the noise canceling off. Actually, the Apple AirPods have something really cool called a transparent mode. So you can actually kind of boost the outside sound, which makes it great for hearing the traffic around you or just having a conversation. You can reach up and tap the things and have a conversation with somebody with your earbuds in. You can still hear them. But an extra side benefit is you can actually hear your own voice when you're singing, so you don't sound quite so bad. But anyway, I digress. When you have those in the noise cancellation mode, it does block out a lot of sound. But, as anyone knows, if you're deaf or hard of hearing, you get used to that and you compensate in other ways. Your vision is probably better. You're seeing what's going around you better. That type of thing. You're just looking around more. You're just more aware of your surroundings. And I think the stats prove it for themselves. If there's no more likelihood that they've had more crashes than any other hearing individual, then what's their leg to stand on? The CVTA. So anyway, I'm glad this is happening. I think if somebody wants to work and they can do the job, I don't care if you're deaf. I don't care if you're missing an eyeball or a leg or an arm, whatever the situation is. If you can drive a truck and you can do it safely and you can prove it, have at it. Again, found that one on freightwaves.com. And lastly, this one just freaking confuses me. Overdriveonline.com. FMCSA grants fireworks companies hours of service and ELD exemptions. Huh? Okay, now I understand it completely if the FMCSA wants to step in and say, hey, you don't have to run logbooks, you can ignore all the hours of service rules if we have a hurricane or a big earthquake or like something like COVID was going on. I get all that, but fireworks? Seriously. I mean, I really thought this was for emergency situations only. How is, as much as I love July 4th, and we all do because it's the independence of our country, and we all love fireworks, it's not a freaking emergency. It's just not. But the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration has granted this exemption for 32 of the 45 member companies from the American Pyrotechnics Association. Who had any idea that something like that existed? I guess it should have. Every type of hobby or whatever has an organization, so I shouldn't be surprised. But anyway, they're issuing this exemption. They don't have to follow the 14-hour rule, and they don't have to use an electronic logging devices between the dates of June 28th and July 8th. And that's granted for the next 2 years. They're going to reevaluate, I guess, in the future. But anyway, I guess this kind of exemption has been in place since 2005. They've been doing this. And again, I just don't get it. But anyway, I guess if you're hauling fireworks for one of these particular companies, I guess it's not just, my company hauls fireworks, but it's only a pallet or here or there. So I don't think we qualify for that. Although I guess we could. We could be one of the 32 of the 45 members. I don't know. We do haul quite a bit of it. Interesting. I'll have to pay attention to that come July. I really don't think my company would let me slide on that, though. Anyway, not that you really care unless you haul fireworks, but if you're interested, overdriveonline.com. And with that, enough about the FMCSA. I know you're happy, and what do you do when you're happy? Drink! Guess you can drink 3 times. Love's continued its building spree with 3 openings. Found this one on landline.media. Yep, Love's is still at it. A new one all the time, I swear. First one they got is in Patterson, California. It's on I-5, exit 434. I'm not going to run down through all of the bays and parking spaces and showers and all that stuff. Just understand they have it. I'll just announce the stuff that you care about. Probably they got a Speedco for mechanical stuff. They've got an Arby's and they've got a dog park. That one does have 91 truck parking spaces, so it is a fairly decent sized one. Another biggie is in Normal, Illinois. That's right there at the intersection of I-55 and I-39. You'll see it just north of that intersection. This one has 111 truck parking spaces, so that one's a pretty big one. They got a Speedco also, but they have a Bojangles. Booyah! I had me some Bojangles this morning over here in North Carolina, and that's some good stuff right there. I highly recommend their what they call blueberry biscuits. Blueberry, of course. But the other one is in Muscatine, Iowa, which is southwest of Davenport, Iowa. It's out on Highway 61. This one's much smaller, only 29 truck parking spaces, but they've got a Chester's Chicken and a Godfather's Pizza, so that's good. Chester's, okay. Godfather's, yeah, that's some good pizza right there. I'll take it. So that's all there is to say about that one. I would just say keep your eyes peeled for new Love's locations that you have never seen before. I was going up I-39 the other day and I glanced over and said, where'd that come from? And it was this one over here in Normal, Illinois. Well, I'll have to stop in there next time because, Bojangles. Boy, I hope that's open all night. By the way, the ones I've seen that are open all night, they do not have like bone-in chicken at that, overnight, like maybe 10 p.m. to like 6 in the morning or something like that. But you can get chicken strips and you can also get the breakfast type stuff usually. And their chicken strips are awesome. So anyway, if you want to see everything that these three places have, go over to landline.media and check it out. Can you hear those loud ladies talking out in the hallway? I can. Hey, this next one I found on ccjdigital.com. That is Commercial Carrier Journal. I'm not going to go into big detail on this one, but I just wanted to let you know that if you are going to be looking for a trucking job in 2023, maybe you better get on it sooner than later. And that's because they are expecting things are going to slow down. Now, there are still a relatively high, like a lot of jobs, trucking jobs available, but that trend is going to be slowing down. So, say a company was planning on hiring 100 right now, maybe in a couple of months, they're only planning on hiring 70 or 60 or whatever. That's just an example. But anyway, things are going to be slowing down. So if you don't want to be, maybe you don't want to be at the end of the year trying to find a job and they've all kind of dried up. I don't think that's ever going to happen in the trucking industry, honestly. I'm going through some changes over here at my company, and, the evil overlord is often an exaggerator and will say, great, we're going to have to file bankruptcy. And I'm like, quit exaggerating, woman. We're not going to be filing bankruptcy. Worst case scenario, I have to go back out and get a job back over the road, but somebody's going to hire me, right? I mean, maybe I'll have trouble getting hired on at another LTL if I want to, which I do. But if they're not hiring at the time, I can just go and find any old over-the-road job and we'll make it. I'm not going to die, or be searching through dumpsters for my food or anything like that anytime soon. So anyway, there is a video over here on CCJ Digital, and you can check it out. It's about a 10.5-minute video, and if you want to see what that's all about for the employment going on in 2023. Just thought I'd give you a heads up in case you're looking for a job or think you might be looking for a job soon. Okay, here's a spin on a story we've heard a million times. Freightwaves.com. Trucker age exemption bill reintroduced in new Congress. Okay, we've all heard about the trucker age exemption stuff, right? This happened in the infrastructure bill that passed in the administration recently. And, they're working on getting younger drivers into the industry. And we all understand that because right now, if you are 18 to 21 as a truck driver, you can only drive within a state. But this is the twist on this one. Oh, but first I should say they're in that initial one, they're trying to get it to where truckers 18 to 21 can drive interstate, as in cross state lines. They cannot do that as of right now. Well, again, here is the little twist on this one. Apparently, anything being hauled into or out of a marine terminal, like a port, is considered interstate, even though it may never leave the state. So their example is like a 20-year-old with a commercial driver's license. They can't pick up a shipment at the port of Palm Beach and deliver it to a destination just 40 miles away. But that same driver could take a regular load of freight that didn't originate in a port and just take it all the way from Tallahassee to Miami, which is over 500 miles. And these group of Republicans, this is all Republicans, by the way, I think 20 of them got together and is backing this bill. Not 19 of them. But they're just saying this is stupid. And honestly, it is. That's just my opinion. You know, I mean, again, I think it's kind of stupid that an 18 to 21-year-old, they can drive around in the town of Miami in this case, but they can't drive out of Miami and go into, some little town up in Georgia right across the state line. That's just stupid. I'm sorry. It's just stupid. Now, maybe you think 18 to 21-year-olds shouldn't be driving a truck at all. And if that's your stance, I can go with you on that one. But if we're going to allow them to do it in the big cities, you might as well allow them to do it everywhere, right? Kind of weird. But anyway, this is just a bill right now. They just got this started. This sounds like one of those new things that the new Republican-controlled House is putting forward. So we will see how this goes. Fingers crossed on this one. FreightWaves.com if you want to read more about that one. Okay, this one's going to be short and sweet because honestly, I don't really want to talk about it that much. As you probably know, if you listen to the show, not a big fan of Biden, but hey, he's the president, so what he says does matter. This one is on FreightWaves.com. Biden climate blueprint promotes modal shift away from trucks. Yep, this is the thing I was talking about in the opening that I said most truckers will not like. So I'm just going to summarize this. While the statement comes from the Biden administration saying, we need to get better with the climate change and all that stuff, we all know that's behind pretty much everything they do. They're saying that not only do they need to improve with like emissions and getting better fuel mileage and transferring more to electric vehicles and things like that, but also that that everybody needs to try to start shipping more on rail and boat if they can, instead of trucks, because they say trucks are the number one, well, actually aviation is the number one cause of greenhouse gases. Trucks are next in line, and then rail, and then the ships are the easiest on the ecosystem. So ecosystem is that? Yeah, ecosystem. Yeah, whatever. Oh boy, I'm really rattling today, aren't I? So anyway, that's a little disturbing to me, that the president of the United States is saying, basically telling all businesses, hey, if you can ship by boat or rail, have at it. I'm also going to say good luck with that, because rail is freaking slow. Everybody knows it. Even the rail knows it. So if you need to get something moved quickly, truck is almost always going to be your best option, the most economical option for sure, because, going by jet is going to cost out the yin yang. So, well, they may try to get this done, but, this is just kind of a suggestion. This is what the Biden administration sees as happening, and what should happen is we should all go to more boats and rail and stay away from trucks and planes, all for the sake of the environment. Okay, whatever. Let's move on. If Biden were to get his way on that, we wouldn't even need to be talking about this next story on Transport Topics. That's ttnews.com. Truck parking is top issue for drivers. Well, duh. We all know this, right? Although, honestly, it hasn't topped the ranks most years. So here's a little known fact. There are approximately 313,000 truck parking spaces nationwide, according to a recent survey from the Federal Highway Administration, the American Trucking Association, and the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association. And they say that means there is approximately one parking spot for every 11 drivers. Boy, those don't seem like good odds. Now, I would have to question this, and I'd have to look at the data, which I'm not going to do, but I do question these kinds of surveys because what does this really mean? One parking spot for every 11 drivers. Are they counting everybody with the CDL? I don't know, because you got to think a lot of these drivers are home every day. They're parking at their house. They're parking at a yard somewhere that is probably not counted as these truck parking spaces. Maybe they're parking behind a feed mill like I used to do, and that wouldn't be counted as a truck parking space. I doubt, if an area of business or something like that lets you park your truck on their site, that's not going to be counted. And what about all the spots at the terminals? Like my company, we park all of our trucks at the terminals. So that's a lot of freaking trucks, and that takes those trucks off the road too. So I'm not sure it's quite as bad as that, but anybody who's driven, anytime recently does know that truck parking is an issue for sure. And thankfully, the Biden administration has included a lot of this in the infrastructure package, and they plan on making more truck parking spaces available. So anyway, we've talked about this ad nauseum, so I'm not really going to go into any more of it. But if you are interested in reading more about this and some of those solutions they're talking about, head on over to transporttopics.ttnews.com. Okay, this next one won't help me one little bit, but I like the idea of it anyway. But don't get your hopes up. This one comes from landline.media. Indiana bill would eliminate speed limit differential. Now, anytime you can get rid of a speed limit differential, I'm fine with that. I think it's way safer for everybody to be traveling the same speed. Now, right now, Indiana permits cars to go 70 mile an hour, but vehicles over 26,000 pounds are limited to 65 mile an hour. So again, this doesn't matter to me one bit because I can't even go that fast. So I guess this has been brought up in Indiana like 5 times. 4 or 5 times. Yeah. The previous 4 were originated in the House, and they failed to advance from the committee. They didn't even get into a vote. So, it may not happen again. We will see, but I hope so, because, this would be available on big stretches of the interstate and also the Indiana toll road. So 2 big thumbs up from me. I'm all for it. Landline.media. Okay, let's get on with the topic that I mentioned in the opening, and you probably won't care anything about, but you probably should. Well, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. Teamsters and UPS. Yep, they're fighting. There's a contract coming up, and it is a big one. As I mentioned before, there is new leadership at the Teamsters, and he is much more, his name is Sean O'Brien, and he is much more militant and hardcore than they've had in a long time with James Hoffa, Jimmy Hoffa's son. So this guy is balls to the wall, gung-ho union, and he is not stepping down from hardly anybody. And UPS is a big, there is a lot of employees that, I think there's 350,000 UPS employees, and they're all covered by this contract. This covers drivers, loaders, unloaders, and other personnel, it says, whatever that means. Probably people who fuel trucks and things like that. But O'Brien has said in this that they're going to take a hard line on UPS. Right now, I guess there's a situation where they've got some drivers who are being hired in at a different wage than the full-time drivers, and they don't like that. They think it should be everybody is getting paid the same when they come in. I know some companies do that. They do some kind of like a tiered thing where, like, just because I have 25 years of experience, I can start out and I might come in at like 90% or something like that of the full pay. Whereas, if you go to an over-the-road company, if anybody who comes in with 20 years of experience is going to receive the same pay, generally. But that's not always the way it works within the union. So they're fighting to get that more leveled out, and I think that's a good thing. Now, UPS has always gone for what they call a cost-neutral outcome, meaning they want to give the drivers something without it costing them a lot, and they don't want the drivers taking a lot. But this new management team is saying we're going to take what our members deserve because, well, they've been getting raises for quite a while. I guess they get a 3% a year since 2018 for wage increases. Now, UPS says they would be willing to give that up pretty easily. They don't have a problem bumping the wages significantly, but they want to make sure that they can change some of the work rules, and those work rules are more flexible. And that is a big sticking point at UPS right now. Those UPS folks are being really overworked. A lot of times they're having mandatory overtime that just does not end. They're working them 6 days a week, sometimes more, and it often goes against the contract, but they are just doing it anyway because it's cheaper for them just to do it and pay the fine or pay the person their extra grievance money or whatever they owe them because they're getting all this freight delivered, but they're not abiding by the contract. So that is what they're being stuck to. So this is a big one. It's big for all the Teamsters. We're all watching this to see how this goes. And if it goes good, it will go probably good for other Teamster companies, depending on how much money they have and, how we know what kind of bargaining situation they're in. Some companies have less money and probably will have a hard time, sticking with a hard line more than like UPS. But, UPS has got money running out their yin yang right now. So anyway, the reason I mention this, you probably don't care, like I said, but if the Teamsters do make a success of this against a huge company like UPS, and they're already getting some traction with Amazon and other companies like Starbucks and Costco and places that haven't always unionized before, the more they do this and the more they win these type of situations, the more unions are going to be more popular. So, and that's kind of their whole idea with this. They want to show that they're strong again, that the Teamsters are strong. They're willing to strike if they need to get back up to wages that they should have been paid years ago, that kind of a thing. Now, you can call Teamsters spoiled all you want and union members, but, well, I know for one, I'm not up where I should be. I'm happy with the money I'm making, but it's not where we should be according with the rest of the industry. So I'm hoping this guy sticks to his guns, even if that means a strike later on. Well, so be it. I was looking for a job when I found this one, and hopefully the strike would just lead to better wages and everything. We'll have to see when that comes around. Our contract doesn't renew for a couple of years though. So anyway, like I said, I brought this up simply because if Teamsters start getting success, as they are in lots of different places, you may see more and more trucking companies go into this. Now, the trucking companies don't want to go to this, but the Department of Labor says that workers have a right to unite and form a union. So they can't stop it. They try to stop it, like Amazon's been trying to stop it and everything, but they can't legally stop it. So anyway, you might see more and more of these truck drivers wanting to form unions so they can get better wages. We'll see how this goes. It's going to be interesting. Just stay tuned to this. And, well, as me being a Teamster, I'm going to definitely talk about it here on the show. If you don't like it, well, that's what the skip button's for. Okay, onward. And for this last story, let's do something kind of fun. I'm going to give you a chance to get your dream job. I mean, who wouldn't want to drive the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile? Well, they are hiring right now. Apparently, they need 12 drivers who they call hot doggers. Love it. They've got these 27-foot-long Wienermobiles. If you've never seen them before, check out the link in the show notes here to cdllife.com. Wienermobiles, that's great. Now, you may or may not fit the bill. What they're looking for here, you don't have to have a CDL, but they do want a bachelor's degree, preferably in marketing, journalism, or a related field. And that's because you are going out as a representative for Oscar Mayer, and you're going to be going to fairs and stuff like that, parades, and you'll be basically the public eye for Oscar Mayer. Of course, everything will be paid for while you're on the road. It says you'll be going to on television, radio, charity event appearances, social media stuff. They say basically you'll be a mini celebrity in small towns and big cities. So there's your 15 minutes of fame. Now, the job description does specifically call out for graduating college seniors. But, they're just looking for anybody who is willing to see the country through the windshield of the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. I'm not real interested in it, but if you want to drive something quirky like that and you love people and hanging out with, fans of Oscar Mayer, have at it. Sounds like a fun job, actually, but probably doesn't pay near what I'm making right now. But hey, if you're interested, head on over to cdllife.com. And well, I'm assuming that's going to finish up the news because it's Friday afternoon. I should be in bed already, and I still have to record a couple more segments. You know what's first? Nope, not feedback this time. Trucker Grub.
Give us a bottle of your finest champagne, 5 shrimp cocktails, and some bread for my brother.
What's that?
Sushi.
Sushi?
Boy, some chicken wings have really hit the spot.
This is a tasty burger.
Don't play with your food, eat it.
Well, we heard an awesome story from One of a Kind in the last episode about, the cops showing up and doing some Breaking Bad stuff around her truck while things were going on. If you haven't heard that story, check it out in the last episode. That'd be episode 185. But this time, One of a Kind's got a Trucker Grub segment for us. So take it away, woman.
The new technology, voice memos. This is the second time I've used it. Once was to tell my other story. Thanks for making me learn a new thing, Todd.
You're welcome.
It hurts. Stop making me think. So, Trucker Grub segment. Lyman, Wyoming, exit 41 off the I-80, the Cowboy Cafe. There is a huge dirt lot for parking. It is a gas and go truck stop. They also have a little convenience store there, fuel if you need it. It looks like they had a truck repair at one time, but it's shut down now, I think. And if you go under the freeway on the underpass, there's a real nice little rest area over there too. So there's plenty of truck parking in the area. All of their food is homemade. Everything I've eaten there I like. Let's start by talking about their pies. Their pies are incredible. They have a cherry berry that I've eaten. It's excellent. The blueberry is excellent. The peach is excellent. I couldn't tell you about the apple because I don't like apple pie. I know. An American. Shoot me.
Yeah, you're weird.
I've had their chicken fried steak, their green chili, their buffalo patty, their half-pound buffalo patty, which they say not to order well done, which is not a problem for me. It might be for other people. Everything I've eaten there, I've liked. The prices are reasonable. The service is excellent. It's a nice, quiet place to spend the night. And you can't go wrong. Give them a stop if you're ever on the I-80. Bypass Little America and go another 20 miles, and it's worth it.
I'll bet it is. Well, I put a link in the show notes here to a lot of these little restaurants only have Facebook pages. If you don't have Facebook, you can probably go over there and look at it anyway without having an account. If not, I am sorry. I don't know any other way to do it. But there's a few photos over there of pie. Can't go wrong with pie. I love me some pie. You had me at pie, One of a Kind. But then I went to the website and looked, and they also have cinnamon rolls. So you really had me there. The other food looks awesome too. I would love to give this a try. All I have to do is figure out a way to get to Wyoming when really the furthest west I run is maybe Minnesota or Iowa. So, good luck. Unless, of course, I lose my job and then I end up out there anyway. Then I'll know where to stop. I-80, exit 41, Lyman, Wyoming, a Cowboy Cafe. Thank you, One of a Kind. I really appreciate it. And we'll be looking forward to your breakdown story you promised, probably in the next episode. Stay tuned.
Hey, yo, bud, where do you want this load of feedback?
Next up, let's hear from a couple of new Trucker Dump Slack members. First, James Cole wrote me a nice, simple email that just says, I'm going to try Slack and see what it's all about. Well, James quietly snuck into the Facebook group on Christmas Day, which is probably why he went unnoticed. But James, we got our eye on you. I'm calling you out. I've asked you to say something, and you're being very quiet, man. Not cool. Come on. See what it's all about? Jump right in. Seriously, we look forward to chatting with you over there, James. Thanks for joining. Now, our other new member we've brought out of his shell already. This is David Taylor. He writes, "Hello, I've been listening to the podcast for the last several weeks and would like to be added to the group. I have a Class B to drive my crane truck for my tree business. However, I'm seriously thinking of selling my business and becoming a truck driver. Thanks for your consideration, David Taylor." Well, there's no consideration needed here, David. If you want to join, you just write truckerdump@gmail.com like you did, and I'll add you. I don't care who you are. Tree guy, McDonald's cook, don't really care. If you want to be a member of the group and learn more about trucking, have at it. But like I say, David is being a bit more chatty in there. We called him out on some stuff, and he's been talking to us a little bit, so that's cool. What's next? Okay, this one, well, there's no name on this one. Just says Texas truck permits. Usually when you see something like that, it's somebody promoting something on the website, and they're just leaving a generic comment to, get your attention, basically. But in case you want it, their website is texastruckpermits.com. Don't know what they do, but they write, "I have read your book and it is really good. Thank you so much for sharing the weather app. The weather app is a must for truck drivers like us." Okay, this is where I was talking about the couple of weather apps a few weeks ago, whenever that was. The couple of different ones. One was Truck Driver Power, and the other was Weather on the Way. Anyway, he says, "This app will surely help in monsoon season, as it will show the rainy weather in the middle while reaching the destination." Yeah, that's what's so great about those apps, is they tell you about the weather along the way and what the weather's going to be like when you get there, not what the weather's like now, 200 miles away from you. So that's the beauty of those. And here is where we need your help, listeners. He continues, "By the way, do you know any offline application which shows about the petrol pumps? I ask offline app because some areas have network issues, so no internet." So there you go. I don't know. It is a little weird. He said petrol pumps, petrol. That's a European thing. So, and mentioned monsoon season. So a little interested in that. I'm not even sure if I had a trucker path kind of a thing that it would be worldwide. I don't know. Is trucker path worldwide? I don't really know. But if you have any answers for this that you can use one of these offline, I think that's the biggest key right here, is most of these kind of apps, you need to be online at the time because it needs to be updating the truck parking and things like that. But it sounds like all he might need is just where can you park, not if there's parking available, like is offered on, Truck Driver Power and Trucker Path and some of those other apps. So anyway, if you can help out, please help us out. Send it in to me, truckerdump@gmail.com. Give me your suggestions for offline apps having to do with finding truck stops. Okay, cool. And lastly, driver Chris Mack. He doesn't write me an email very often. He usually just calls me up if he wants to get on to me about something. But he writes, "I'm listening to the podcast. You're whining about not having a sponsor." Yep, about 15 minutes of it. He said, "You mentioned having an Amazon link on your website. I've tried to find it to help you out, but I can't. Maybe you can make it easier to find, or maybe it's just me." Nope, it's not just you, Chris. It's buried. I know it's horrible. Like I said, I'm not a good web designer. Actually, the link to the Amazon affiliate is, it's not on the main page, because the main page of my website is designed to just point you at my stuff. You can get to the books, you can get to the blog, all that stuff. But I don't want a bunch of advertising cluttering up that main page. So basically what you have to do is click into the blog. And once you're in the blog part of it is where you also listen to the podcast. In the sidebar on a computer, or if you're on a phone, it'll be at the bottom of the page. There will be a Amazon link for the book Trucking Life. And if you click on that, at that point, anytime afterwards you order anything for 24, 48 hours, whatever it is, I will get a cut of that for the Amazon affiliate link. That's the way that works. Also, the donation link is also in that sidebar. But you're right. It needs to be much easier to find, and I am going to work on that. I am thinking maybe I can just put something up in the maybe something up in the menu that says support the podcast, or, just a big button somewhere on the front page that says support the podcast, where it will send you to a special page where you can have all three ways to, to help the show. And that would be the Amazon affiliate link, the donation button, and also buying the books. At least that's what we have right now. And I guess in the future, I'll put sponsors and things like that. But, once I get this Blue Parrot affiliate thing up and running, that would be on there too. Anyway, thank you for pointing this out, Chris. I do appreciate it. And I will try to get this fixed because, hey, if you're going to beg for money for 15 minutes, you ought to make it kind of easy on people, right? Although I did point out to him that all of these links are in the show notes. And those show notes are, like I said, in your podcast app or at abouttruckdriving.com. Search for TD186 for this episode, or any episode, quite frankly. Well, no, I won't say any episode because I only started putting these in the show notes probably 1 or 2 episodes ago. So just go to 186 and you'll find it right there. It's right there at the bottom. No, it's actually right towards the top, right underneath the description of what's in the show. So anyway, like I said, thank you, Chris. Thank you, David. Thank you, James, and thank you, One of a Kind, for submitting to the show. I love it. Keep them coming. I do have some more in queue. If you have not heard your email on here, well, it's coming. I just had to take a couple things out of order because they were relevant at the time, and I'll be getting to you soon enough, I swear. And hey, as I've said before, if you're a member of this Trucker Dump Slack group or the Trucker Dump Facebook group and I have not called your name out, I'm really bad at Facebook. So if you've gotten on there, I probably haven't even welcomed you over there. Slack, I'm more on top of. But if you're a member of those groups and I have not given you a shout out on the show, I would appreciate you letting me know so I can do so. And let's start like right now with Facebook because, yeah, I'd have to name everybody because I don't think I've ever named anybody on Facebook. Sorry. Why do I suck at Facebook so bad? Dunno, just do. So anyway, that will about do it for the show. There's no sponsor to mention or anything like that. So, well, I just told you how you can help contribute to the show, both monetarily and also just by audio comments, that kind of stuff. Send them in to truckerdump@gmail.com. You can send in a Trucker Grub yourself, just like One of a Kind did. Get right on that. I do have some stuff in the queue, like I said, but I'm running a little low again. So if you want to get your voice or your narrative, I guess, if you want to write in on the podcast, just send it in ASAP. truckerdump@gmail.com. Well, I'm pooped. It's 3:45 in the afternoon on Friday. I'm finally done recording this. Well, almost. I got to record the outro and stuff. And I'll record this all tomorrow. Friday is not too bad. I get to the hotel and typically we get out a little bit later Friday night. So if I get in bed a little bit later, it's not that big of a deal. I'll still get a decent amount of sleep. Saturday is the chore because it usually takes me 2 to 3 hours to record this podcast on Friday. And then I will go back and I'll edit it on Saturday. And that will sometimes take 2 or 3 hours also. But in that case, I'm not waiting on anybody to call me in. I just show back up at the terminal on my 10 hours. I could take longer and sleep, but I want to get home. So I typically come to the hotel. By the time I get there, it's been like an hour. Then I waste 2 or 3 hours doing this. And then I get a little bit of sleep and get up and get back to the terminal. So you should get a lot less sleep on Saturday, but here I am whining about this instead of money now. So why don't I just drop it and get on with ending this show? What do you say? I will leave you with this, though. Enjoy your life. Not so much that you're going to get in trouble if you have a hair follicle test, but enjoy your life. As we learned earlier from Shannon Holden's passing, life is just too darn short. I've seen people passing on that were older than me for a long, long time, but, it starts really hitting you when people start, your own age start going away. That's hits you in a whole new level. So anyway, just appreciate the people who love you and love them back, okay? Other than that, just have a great week and we'll talk to you next week. So now that I've vowed not to beg for money again, I'm kind of at a loss for words. So I guess I'll just leave you with a little clip from Shannon's interview that describes how much he loved pit bulls and how great his sense of humor was.
We try to stay positive advocates for the pit bull breed because they get, they're looked down on by a lot of people because of just a myth, basically. But
yeah, they do get a bad rap, but yeah, knowing you has helped because I see, you have 2 pits and driver Chris Mack has a pit, and
he's awesome.
They're all big babies.
Yeah,
That's
they
what
are big snuggle babies and bed hogs, and they'll even let a fart here and there, and run out of the room.
Of course they will.
And look at you like, what?
Okie dokie. Let's say we start with a little public service. Good God, where'd that come from? Bowels of hell, it sounds like. They're saying this falls under the HHS. They're saying this falls under the jurisdiction of HHX. They're saying this type of stuff falls under the They're saying this type of stuff falls under. All right, let's say we start out with a little public service. All right, let's start with a little public service announcement. How about we start with some water? Because good God, I'm parched. Lips are sticking together. See, eyes crunching, drinking on or on microphone. I should just leave it in because you guys don't care about audio, right?